That's right, shark content. All the shark content. No one asked for Karshawn, but here he is. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old, to history, to anecdotes, really wherever our whims take us. The Shark, not King Shark, who we did a video on recently at the time of this recording. There is some confusion. Some think that King Shark is an updated version of The Shark. No, they're separate, and both kinda still around. I mean, the shark met an untimely end. Suicide Squad. The Shark was the first of these shark characters by a long shot, at least when you're talking about these two. There have been many a shark character. The Shark debuted in the Silver Age in 1963 in Green Lantern issue 24. He was created by John Broome and Gil Kane, and he is always glorious, for the ways that they find for him to oppose the Green Lantern are ludicrous, and they always lead to some hilarious Hal mishaps, which, if you've been around here a while, you'll know is something that I enjoy talking about. In fact, I did a video about one of my favorite Hal Jordan Green Lantern moments where he's taken out by a newspaper, and the person he's fighting when that happens is the Shark. You know what's a travesty? The fact that the Shark's Wikipedia entry is just a tiny blurb saying that he's the Shark 3 for DC, because there have been multiple DC Sharks, and his DC Wikipedia page is equally short. I mean, it's a bit better, but still. It does not encompass the hilarious glory that is the Shark, aka T.S. Smith, and yes, the T.S. is for Tiger Shark. We're gonna take a look at his first outing, but first, before we get started, I'm Sasha, and if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join us in this comic book journey. The cover for this issue does not feature the Shark, but he is the first tale inside. The shark that hunted human prey. Totally different from a regular shark. I can feel the shark advocates coming for me. They really upsell the shark in this narration box. A monstrous tiger shark in human form with undying hatred of humanity and infinite potential to do harm. Props to this teaser page for being both outlandish and something that actually happens in the issue. We open on Hal driving with his friend Tom on the way to a double date. That's with Carol and Turga, who would later also be referred to as Tegra. I'm not sure why. If you know, please tell me. It haunts me. This is still part of an unfortunate era for Tom, who is of native Inuit descent, and he is called Pie Face. Now, we've talked about this in previous Green Lantern videos. The terminology itself is viewed by many as a racial slur. It links back to a certain food brand and their associations, and it's not good. The pies were actually rebranded in 2021 as Eddie's Pies. The initial name had come from a suggestion from the founder's wife, who suggested it because it's cold up in the north, and Inuit live up there, so that seemed to be the reasoning. Now, DC has claimed that this was not the intent, that this was a common slang from the time that they were employing towards Tom. Hal Jordan's mechanic was an Inuit, unfortunately called Pie Face, and despite fan speculation, that comes not from the ice cream treat Eskimo pie, which goes unmentioned in the early comics, but from an existing term for a person with a round face and a blank expression. So much better. So that was why they applied it to Tom, because he was so impressed and awed by Hal. Press X to doubt. Either way, it's an awful nickname, just being called Pie. It's aged poorly, and Tom deserves better, because he's a decent character even in this period. He's a loyal and trustworthy friend who guards Hal's secret identity, and they hang out. Case in point, this double date. This is a long way of saying that the text can call him what they want. I'm gonna call him Tom. Their trip is interrupted when suddenly Hal is on high alert, and he gets out of the car and tells Tom to carry on and flies off as Green Lantern. But what has happened? Well, there was some atomic testing going on an island, and one of the bombs accidentally detonated. The fallout radiation isn't too intense. It's just a little radiation. Everybody gather around, stand real close, breathe it in. Everybody's too close. However, they're wrong about that fallout because it fell upon a tiger shark. It was just swimming in the depths, and it penetrates into the tiger shark's brain and causes some heightened and ultra fast evolution. And because of this, it happens both in the mind and the body. Unseen by any human eye, the creature managed to reach the shore, where he traversed evolutionary eons in a matter of minutes. The great thing about this is that sharks have changed very little in evolutionary terms over millennia. They're just a very efficient predator. So all I can imagine is this exact same narration. At the end of it, the shark is exactly the same. Behold, still a shark. Became man, evolved past man, became man of a million years from now, where finally the process slowed and ceased. So we went from shark to monkey to man, back to shark. Gotcha. Ooh, and he got a Speedo. You know who else got a Speedo? That Psych prop from the Supergirl series in the 80s, where he became a hyper-evolved man. So if you evolve thousands of years at once, you get a free Speedo. Complimentary swimwear. It is tempting. Also, the 80s version got some really intense shoulder pads. Maybe the further you go, the more fashion you get. The shark discovers that he has phenomenal cosmic power. He's telekinetic and seems to have at least the beginnings of pyrokinesis. He's telepathic and can absorb knowledge from the minds of those around him. He's OP as heck, but deep inside, the creature was still motivated by only one basic idea, one driving force: to seek prey. I must hunt. Destroy my natural foes would be too easy. I must find a prey worthy of my new powers. Shark, So he disguises himself as a man by changing the perception around himself ever so slightly. He's also wearing a suit, which at first I was wondering did he project that or not, but my question was soon answered. Here he is, calling himself T.S. Smith. Oh, and he says costume in a sharkskin suit, so you know he's wearing it. So I actually went and looked up what makes a suit a sharkskin suit. So it's a suit made out of a warp knitted fabric that imitates sharkskin. And what's in it has changed over time. In the 60s, there was natural sharkskin versus artificial sharkskin, and one was cheaper, that was artificial. And if you got the good one, the natural one, you could have silk in it. It fell out of popularity in the 80s because it was viewed as tacky, but then it had kind of a resurgence because of Mad Men later on. The little 60s fashion revival. I fell down a rabbit hole. I wonder which type the shark got. The shark goes to a restaurant, orders steaks, rare, but these rare steaks cannot sate his hunger. He tries to start a fight with a heavyweight champion, but the champion's just so terrified that he collapses without even throwing one punch. Bah! Even the strongest of these present-day humans are just worms compared to me. But I can't live on a diet of worms. I have to find real prey. Prey that I can hunt and destroy in battle. My essential shark nature demands it. I mean, this is describing a lot of maliciousness to sharks when really it's largely swim, eat, don't die. That actually had the potential to be a more interesting characterization. The idea that he's a shark driven by the constant need to hunt, but that it's more subconscious. It's more of a vestigial demand or thought, not something that he monologues about and thinks about, just something that motivates his actions. The shark uses his telepathy to scan for a worthy foe and settles upon Hal Jordan, who he instantly knows is the Green Lantern because it's telepathy. But more importantly, the shark senses that he lacks fear. This he takes as a challenge. He must make him afraid so he can destroy him. I will inject fear into him for my pleasure. Karshan and the Sinestro Corps win. He says he's gonna do this by telling Hal all about himself. Scary. The evolutionary leap came with a huge ego boost. That's why Hal was freaking out in the car, because the shark was projecting his life story at him. I was a shark, then I was a man, then I was an even more evolved shark man, and then I went to town, and then I bought a suit, and then I bought a steak. Rare. Green Lantern says that the shark may be his greatest threat. Oh Hal, you say that to all the villains. Although the shark is stacked, it's right to be concerned. First he goes to charge his ring because he is responsible. No running out of power for him. But uh-oh, it was a trap. The shark was waiting for him and he turned the entire hangar yellow. That's right, sit down All-Star Batman and Robin Batman. The shark got there first. Puny human, did you imagine I was going to allow you to hunt me? I honestly don't think that Hal thought that far ahead, Shark. There's an invisible force field in yellow. Invisible yellow field. Okay. Oh, also the shark has a costume now. Not a fan. Fool! An invisible yellow aura protects me from your ring. How does this work if the field's invisible? Is it just the knowledge that it's yellow that's stopping it? So Hal doesn't need to see the yellow things for it to have, you know what? Just got it. I'm just gonna accept the rules of the ring at this time period, for they are ever changing. The shark then grows massively in size and says it's simply a case of mind over matter. Just think hard enough and you'll get huge. Sound like some kind of after hours commercial. So he just willed himself bigger, because evolution. Still sounds like that. He then proceeds to pick up Hal and squeeze him. Hal claims that there's only one thing that isn't yellow at his disposal: the air itself. So he harnesses it via magnet and projects it at the shark in a super compressed stream. While this shrinks the shark, he still has energy, and they end up one of those energy beam offs. The shark thinks that the problem is that he hasn't made Hal afraid enough. The shark has managed to seal off Coast City in a little pink shark energy dome. Well, not little, a big dome. It's just never a good time to be Coast City, is it? He did this while Hal was charging his ring, by the way. So he already had this planned. He covered all his bases. He hedged his bets. Carol, Tom, Turga, oh, and all those other citizens, but mostly those three. I've turned the city into my private hunting reserve. But I thought that was beneath you and you needed a worthy foe. Make up your mind. So he says that after he's done with Hal, he's gonna dispose of his friends, all three of them. But this has the opposite effect that the shark intended. Instead, it makes Hal double in will. Plus 20 will. He's gotta save his friends. Good thing they were waiting on 60s Hal and not modern at the time of this recording Hal, or rather a few years back Hal, because that Hal doesn't even know what will is. Salty forever, can't let it go. So last time Hal used the air, so what's he gonna use this time? Water vapor. And he freezes it and hits the shark with a giant iceberg. They said the shark was unsinkable. With the shark knocked out, his invisible yellow force field around himself goes away because, you know, he was maintaining that with mental capability. And then Hal decides he's gonna put the shark down permanently. It gets kind of intense. So he uses his ring to read the shark's mind, because at this point the ring can just do anything, and Hal uses it to do anything and doesn't think about it. Morality, what's that? And he sees the solution in front of him. Revert the shark back to a basic tiger shark, which he does because the ring can just do that. By doing this, it also unseals the dome. I'm really scared. This is too much power for one man, especially 60s Hal Jordan. Hal then flies the shark to an aquarium where he posts guards 24/7. How did he swing that? He just fly up, I'm the Green Lantern, put guards on this shark. I was attacked. No, wait, I had a negative shark encounter. And then he goes on his double date. The end. What a story. Silver Age madness at its best. The finery, the escalating power scale, the outlandish plots, the flimsy science. It all feels very wild. There's a fun whimsy to it. Now, how the shark comes to be is silly, but I do really like the concept. I have a soft spot for the hyper-evolved animal who then enters into the world of man. The shark's powers are a lot of a lot. He could use a few less, but they have to be up there because in this period, Hal could literally do anything. So because of this, the uses of yell to stop and get more and more outrageous. But that for me adds to the humor factor. Haha, I put an invisible yellow field around your workplace and myself. That 24-hour guard does nothing, by the way, because the shark is back by issue 28. Now this is pre-New 52 Shark, and also pre-Crisis Shark. Post-New 52 Shark is a very different beast. He still starts off as a Green Lantern villain. He's definitely less campy and fun, but the New 52 is not about either of those things. Also, as mentioned, he suffered from being confused with King Shark. I even did it as a joke at the start of my King Shark vid, but it's really easy, especially because some images are mislabeled and the like. Heck, maybe I did it more than once. I checked. I don't think so. But again, it's possible. It's a bit better now because they made King Shark a hammerhead, and while Karshan is dead, in quotes. Time of recording. Is he alive again? Does T.S. Smith live again? Does he stalk the Omniverse and beyond? Whatever the case, classic shark tales are amusing. Share your thoughts on this and the shark in his shark suit. What's the most ridiculous yellow defeat you've seen for a Green Lantern? Do we need to talk about the tiger shark as well? I'll do it. Tell me things down below, and while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking this time day spent discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.